Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. My weekly editor, Martin Creamer, joins us today to unpack news around renewable energy, project expertise, and Saldanha Steel. Welcome, Martin.
Hi, Sashni.
Now, while the private sector is happy to invest in green renewable energy, NERSA seems to have some limitations. Is this going to set us back?
You know, I don't think it will, because the private sector is so enthusiastic about this. I mean, I'm getting calls every day. Every time I interview a mining company or industrial company, they tell me about the self-generation that they're engaged in, because they say their biggest risk is not getting electricity. The second biggest risk is getting electricity at the wrong price. And so they know they can get it at the right price if they do it themselves with the help of the sun, with the help of the wind. So they're doing the right thing, and that's what makes them so convinced. NERSA is stuck with this 10 megawatt. I mean, that is ridiculous. You can't just say that's all you can do. When the world needs this, when South Africa needs it, when people want it, when it is a business case, when it creates better jobs than you've ever had, and you're saying, I'm doing this. Who are you as NERSA to restrict this? I mean, it is just out of the question. I've already got calls where people have gone to NERSA, they've gone to Eskom, and they've managed to get blueprints, I don't know how they do this, for actual sizes bigger than 10 megawatts. So I don't think they should play around like this. You know, they should be public, transparent, let this thing go. And our energy minister is also the mining minister. He must know that these mines want it. I mean, I've just come back from one in Mpumalanga. Their tenders are out. You know, they say even this 10 megawatt one, they're just going straight ahead with, but the intention is to go much bigger because they've also got underground operations. They know that these are critical when it comes to electricity. They also know that there's a business case for this. They can lower their costs, and there are a lot of companies coming around to them, persuading them. So they don't actually have to do the investment necessarily themselves. The others will do it as long as there's an agreement that they buy back that electricity. And look at the world at the moment. I mean, they're streaking ahead on renewables. Some of the mining companies are even wanting to use the excess that they produce to produce hydrogen and then to use that hydrogen in the fuel cells for all their vehicles. Again, the right thing to do. You know, we can't keep spluttering the way we are. Mother Nature is starting to cough. You know, we see Mother Nature coughing all over the world. We see floods, we see fires, we see changes in the actual pattern of climate. The writing's on the wall. Don't stop this, South Africa. You were ahead. Now, you know, fiddling around with a restriction on what people can do is not favouring job creation. It's not favouring wealth creation. Who are these officials to stand in the way? They shouldn't be allowed to.
And South Africa has had a positive history of building projects on time and on budget, but now there seem to be fewer projects. Do you think that we are in danger of losing our project expertise? You
know, I was again encouraged by going out to Mpumalanga and seeing that we've still got project panache. And you know, I was a journalist who used to do a feature on Sasol twice a year. And the CEO at the time said to me, if anyone tries to stop you doing this, you tell me, because you must go ahead with this. Now, transparency is a big thing. When Sasol decided it's not going to be transparent anymore and said to this company of ours, Engineering News and Mining Weekly, you may not come here anymore. Look at how it's gone down the drain. You know, who are these executives who say, no, journalists must not come in here and report? This particular CEO, Pat Davies, he said to me, look, you must come in. Because, I mean, he used to learn what people were doing as well and the detail of it. I used to get letters of congratulations from all sorts of people saying, wow, you know, this detail that you're giving is so important. It created a culture of doing things on time and on budget. And I remember being out at Secunda one day when there were Americans there. They were asking these project executives, how do you guys do it? How do you come in on budget and on time? The big new leadership at Sasol closes down media, won't let us in. Look at the disaster they've created in the United States. I mean, they have damaged Sasol in such a way that they should be penalized for the lack of transparency. Now, I know that what happened in New Orleans is because of neglect by executives. I mean, what executive is going to end up with a situation where your losses are so colossal they're bigger than your market capitalization. When you've got a good company, how did Sasol, how was it created? It was created through our money, taxpayers' money. Our forebears paid for this. And then when I used to even pull up at a petrol station, half of that money was going for Sasol. How dare these individuals take over and mess this company? And how dare they still put so much carbon in the air? I mean, we used to have a situation where they used to tell me they've got 100 scientists waiting to solve this problem. Then new guys come in, they forget all about the CO2 going into the atmosphere. They could have sorted this out. They had the people there to do it. So I'm very upset with these executives who say, oh, you can't do this. We don't want to see you anymore. And PRs in the companies sort of suggesting to management, no, you mustn't allow these people in. And that's what happened at Sasol. The new PR and the new CEO in there stopped giving us this access that we used to have. At once it was once every year. Then they said twice a year. It became such a big thing for them because this information flow was so important. Now, are we going to lose these skills? Well, as I went out to this mine, I saw we still got some project panache. I said to this guy, how did you beat all the metrics on your bankable feasibility study? You've beaten what you said you were going to do in the bankable, you've exceeded. How did you do this? He said, okay, I suppose we did micromanage. We blew dust. We were there all the time. Why weren't these two Sasol CEOs in the American project at least once or twice? When did they go there? When did they walk the floor? I don't think they did. Because how could we have such a setback there for a company that our taxpayers have paid for? They put on the map and people are getting away with it. They just slip away. Two CEOs just slip away and a new face comes up. That is really not the way this should be done. Those executives should be made to say, why did we go in such an anti-transparent path? Why did we stop publicity that was there, that was rightful? Because we were the original owners. All right, it went public. And I think that perhaps it was good for a time, but it hasn't been good with this project in the United States. And it just makes me think that transparency is a very good thing. Allowing journalists in is a very good thing. We used to go to Steinhoff and we used to say, can we come in here? They used to say, no. Now look what's that. If any company is taking money from provident funds and from pension funds like Sasol did and like Steinhoff did, there should be no question. When journalists phone for an interview, they must be given an interview. And that will probably change a lot of things in South Africa. Transparency.
And lastly, just talk to us about ArcelorMittal South Africa putting Saldanha Steel on care and maintenance. What is this signaling?
This is sad. This is signaling. It's signaling a whole lot of things. I've watched that Saldanha go from nothing to what it is. I've watched certain parts of the old ESCO being built. This was part of the old ESCO. Now, I feel sorry for the existing management because, things have been worsening. And of course, if you look at the current situation, it is the world market that is not demanding steel. So, that puts South Africa in a bit of a disadvantaged position because its logistics are a bit difficult and it's probably not able to give the prices that people are demanding. And if they did, it'll mean that we run at a loss. So I think that the only thing they can do now is close this. And of course, all that production can be done in South Africa because we've got Vanderbijl. But this was very much export orientated. And so it's a reflection on the downturn in steel. Now, when there's a downturn in global steel, there should be close liaison again. There should be more transparency. The government should be hearing from the media that this is happening. The government here should be planning to give access to steel by creating infrastructure. We need infrastructure. We're falling behind on the infrastructure. If they had gone ahead with infrastructure projects, perhaps that closure would not have been so dramatic because you would be having internal demand and it could have turned inward for a while. Now it's on care and maintenance. You get a project on care and maintenance. I don't like these projects going on care and maintenance. The next minute you find that, some of the scrap dealers have got some of the stuff there that should not have been allowed out, and then some of the places get stripped at night by people trying to get access to equipment that they can sell. But anyway, they're going to have to manage that very well. But it's a sad note for South Africa. We had our steel industry here. It was nationalized. When it was privatized, we thought we'd get a better deal. We haven't. And I think privatizing it the way we did was probably a little bit different, because, you know, if you've got an international company and your South African company is associated with that, when things turn down, that international company could say, look, hold on guys, we can supply the steel. And so they might, you know, get ahead of the queue. Whereas if there was still a lot of South African orientation, we would probably be fighting for this, getting better deals done. We had fantastic marketing situations through the private sector as well, but it hasn't happened, and it's hard on the existing management who have to bear problems that have been building up for a long time. So I do feel for them.
Thanks for speaking with us, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Sashni.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on the local and global mining industries. And don't forget to listen to the audio version of our Mining Weekly daily email newsletter.